Was the loss that CU had against USC a moral victory? Welcome back to Alpine Garage Sports, folks. My name is Chris. I am your host for this show. We're in my garage, and we talk about CU football and college football in general. And I'm going to tell you that even though we don't really like to use the word moral victory because it has the word victory in it, and Coach Prime and the players at CU don't like that word either, I'm going to coin the term moral success. This was a moral success, and the reason why I say that is manyfold. Obviously, this loss to USC did not feel anything like the loss to Oregon, and that is where the term moral success comes in. I'm going to say that a moral success in this particular case is the fact that we went out and we played the game that we wanted to play against USC, especially in the second half. We did the things that we said we were going to do. We did the things that the fans and the players said that we needed to do. And we almost came out with the victory against a top-ranked opponent in USC. When you're talking about that L may show up in 3 or 4 years. We may not know the reason why we called it a moral success. But this year, as we're building our program, the fundamentals that we showed in this game are things that are going to show in future games. The reason why I say moral success is the fact that we didn't see it at Oregon, and no one would ever say, probably, I don't going to hear many people say, that the loss against Oregon was a moral success. But the loss to USC certainly was. Let me break down those two things for you so that you can kind of gauge the difference between the two. So first of all, we lost to Oregon 42-6. So when you're talking about big losses, that was about as big a loss as you can take. But the biggest takeaway that I had for that game is that we didn't run the ball hardly at all against Oregon, and we had 14 pure rushing attempts, which isn't going to balance your offense out and make the defense respect you, and we knew this. Shedeur took 6 sacks in that game as well, which was really not only embarrassing for us, but also really hard on Shedeur as well. And you know this had to really play mental games with the offensive line. We made Bo Nix look like he could play with Caleb Williams. And that was on us, honestly, because I think Caleb Williams is a much better quarterback than Bo Nix, but he looked really good compared to us, and that was something that we did to ourselves. 106 yards in penalties against Oregon. That will never win a game. And the time of possession, we had 25 minutes to their 35 minutes, so we gave up 10 minutes of time of possession to a very good quarterback. Now, those were things that we knew that we needed to not do and still have a chance with Oregon. That's the reason why I would say that is not a moral success. That was a complete and total failure as a team. So now we go into USC and we turn the tables on it. So the first half was not all that good. A half, we're kind of flushing that down the toilet a little bit. A couple of good things came out of it, but overall it was not a very big success. But then you go into the second half, and that's really where this moral success came in. So we had 8 more first downs than USC during that game. That is a big deal, guys, because we did not have very many first downs against Oregon, and that's what really killed us, is the 3 and outs were just rampant, which gave the ball back to Bo Nix and his offense, which killed us even more. 498 yards of total offense, which is amazing. Really, that will win games. 498 yards for any team playing against a normal team would be a winning amount of yards. And our passing offense had almost 400 yards of offense. So we still stuck to what we know we can do well. But the big deal, and the deal where I say the moral victory came from, was 2 different parts of the game. The first one was the run game. Everybody in every chat that I saw for the past 3 weeks said, where's the run, where's the run, where's the run? Put McCaskill in, put McCaskill in, put McCaskill in. And I said the same thing. I said the exact same thing because as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. If you only pass the ball, good defenses will figure that out and take it away from you. And if you haven't practiced running the ball, if your offensive line hasn't practiced blocking for the run, then you're going to be terrible at it. And in this particular case, we had almost 200 yards of rushing offense, which is 100 yards more than our best effort so far. So we doubled our best effort. And we had 45 rushing attempts. I mean, what team was this? Was this Colorado that we're talking about here? Yes, it was. Sean Lewis committed to the run, and we ran it. Now, some people say that there was a detriment to that and the fact that maybe there were some opportunities where we should not have run the ball, we should have passed the ball, and that may be the case, and that's in the coaching part of it. But my whole point to this whole rushing game is that we had to establish it and show that we could do it, and we averaged 4.3 yards per carry. And in games, guys, a rushing average of 4.3 yards for an entire team, and that includes losses by the quarterback, will win it every single time. I'll break that more down into take the losses out for the 2 quarterback sacks that we had, and that's going to average probably better than 4.5 yards per carry. But we established the running game. Moral success. And the second one was because we had some injuries to some key players, we rotated more of our players in that hadn't had an opportunity to play as much. And we saw great things. And you've heard this on every single channel out there. Omarion Miller showed up like he had been playing for us for 3 years. This guy has the ability to see the ball in ways that a lot of other receivers don't. It doesn't have to be a super clean pass. It can be a pass on the ground. It can be over the head. He can have 2 defenders on him, and he's going to find a way to shake loose, catch that ball, and get extra yardage after the catch, which is something that we hadn't seen from him. And even Coach Prime in his presser said that he hadn't seen it from him in practice either. But somewhere along the way, Omarion Miller had that, and he showed out on this particular occasion when he had the stage. And that is a moral success for this game. It's the fact that when we rotate in, we knew our depth was really good at wide receiver, but we hadn't seen a lot of these guys yet for various reasons, presumably because we already had our number 1s in the game, and so we're not going to go to our number 2s or number 3s. But when it's time for those guys to step up and they show that, now we know we have way sharper tools in that bag than we even thought we did, and we knew they were sharp going into this. The second one was Cormani McClain on defense. We hadn't seen him through a lot of reps in games on defense, and then you had all the whole week preceding this, where we were talking about Cormani McClain not showing up for meetings late, and everything that Coach Prime said in his presser, which was as far as I'm concerned, constructive feedback. This wasn't tearing down a young man. This was telling the young man where he can get better. All he has to do is listen. And then in the game, Cormani comes in and Cormani shows his athletic ability. Now, has he been watching tape like everybody else? Apparently not. Has he been showing up to meetings when everybody else has? Apparently he hasn't. But in the game, he knows what he's doing, and an actual physical ability to get out there and play showed. Now, if he does everything else, if he goes back and he shows up for meetings and he watches those game film, imagine how good this guy's going to be. And that post-game speech where Coach Prime was talking specifically to Cormani McClain and giving him kudos for stepping up in that game, you saw Cormani, I don't know if you saw it in his eyes and his face, but you know that meant a lot to him. And earlier in the week, you probably had some of those, proud young guy moments where we're like, hey, you know what? These old guys, they don't know what they're talking about. I got this natural skill. But in that locker room, Coach Prime made him swell up and say, hey, you know what? I got this. I think we're going to see way bigger things from Cormani than we have seen before, just based off of that. You cannot underestimate constructive feedback with a backup of praise when you see the positive attributes of what you're asking for. Cormani's a smart guy. He sees this pattern and he's going to click like that. I just guarantee this is going to happen. So when I say moral victory, folks, I'm not saying moral victory. I'm saying moral success. And the reason why I say that is because we played this game exactly like we wanted to play it, and we almost won. Barring a missed field goal and a blocked punt, a few little key mistakes like that, we won this game. And that's why I call it a moral success. This game, even though we lost it, I think gave us more air than beating Nebraska, than beating CSU. And I'm going to say that. I think a loss gave us more bravado, and we learned more from it than we did from our win against those other 2 teams. That's a wrap from Alpine Garage Sports. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video. We're going to be breaking down more game film. And if you haven't already heard, Cormani and Omarion Miller can play.